public speaker, whether you are a public speaker or whether you are a trainer, it all follows the same process, the same steps it follows. So what is the first step we are going to talk about it? Let's have a look into that. It is called a preparation stage. Preparation stage. Stage number 1 is a preparation stage. Now, any idea what do you think can be added into a preparation stage? So for example, if you are being asked by your boss to make a presentation to the whole department, or you are being asked to make a training program, design a training program on some of the subject in which you are having an expertise, and you have to present it to your division or some other department, where should be the starting point? The starting point always comes with the preparation. Now, what is the preparation is all about? The preparation start with who is your audience. It starts with that. Who is my audience? So, okay, for example, my audience is my divisional colleagues have been there. These are my audience. And while I've been talking to them, the question is, what are the needs of my audience? I have to identify that. What are their challenges? What are their issues? What are their concerns about the topics which I have to present? It always starts with that I must have a clarity of idea that how I'm going to address those needs. Because whenever we talk about training, or we are talking about even the speaking part, this training is a part of certain solution. So what the solution is all about? The solution is there are certain issues, there are certain gaps, there are certain concerns which my colleagues are being facing right now, for example, in terms of their public speaking skill. So I comprehend it because I've been on daily basis, I've been met with a lot of people. They had such a fantastic experience. Came into my observation that people, they had a variety of experience, but sometimes the issue is that they do not know how to communicate it. They do not know how the structure is all about. So I comprehend that need, and I thought that today's session I am going to talk about something which can fulfill that need. So starting point always come with who is your audience and what are their needs. That is a starting point, what they are been expecting, because my training should be a solution to some of their challenges. All right. I hope it sounds sense to you that whenever we talk about the training need identification, we start with the needs. Then I look into that. For example, I have conducted a lot of my professional training. So in that instance, I have done always, whenever I was conducting a commercial training as well, I spend a lot of time in researching about that company. I research a lot about what type of business that company is, what is their background, what are their products, in what type of niche they have been working in, what type of challenges they have been facing in. Always, I never deliver a training program in a commercial market. Whenever I'm being asked to do that, I had a very detailed discussion with the stakeholders, asking them what exactly they have been trying to achieve out of this training. And then once I'm having a clarity of that, then I make my content customized according to that once they pass through the training program, once they attend any of my session, they should have a clarity of ideas, the takeaways which they started implementing, and they can get the results. So always remember that if you want to become an effective trainer or a public speaker, your training or your public speaking must be result oriented, must have certain defined outcome. You remember under the success I talk about that I should have a clarity what exactly is the thing I'm trying to achieve out of it. So I should have a very clear-cut need identification of the process, what exactly I have to deliver out of that as well. Now, once I've been doing that, then I look into that, okay, what would be the structure I have to follow? What should be the structure of my presentation? Now, I normally plan, I always say you should go with the 7 by 7 by 7 formula. This is my suggestion. 7 by 7 by 7 maximum. Ideally, it should be less than that. What does it mean? Whenever you have been presenting something, you should not have maximum of 5 to 7 bullet points in one presentation slide, and it should not have more than 7 slides in sequence, and it should cover the whole module in 7 sentences, you can say. So for example, 7 slides, 7 bullet points, and in each bullet point there should not be more than 7 words. So this is called a 7-7-7. Some of the trainers, they propose, ideally, they can say we can go for 5 by 5 into 5 as well. So I would say your presentation should be in between, or either 5 by 5 or 7 by 7, but it should not go beyond that, because our mental processing capacity does not carry more than 7 points, plus minus in some instances up till 9. It does not carry more than that to hold that information in our head. You might have seen that some of the presenter, whenever they design their PowerPoint slides, they put a lot of stuff into it, and people just get lost into the detail, and they are not being able to have a focus on what the trainer has been talking about. So always remember, make a simple slides, 5 slides. Each slide have 5 bullet points, and each bullet point should not have more than 5 words or 7 words. So you can choose between that according to the content, because the simpler you are going to present over there, the more facilitative you are being there. And always remember that in your presentation, people are not been there just to see how fancy your PowerPoint deck look like. They are not been there. There's a lot of information is available right now on the net and others. They are been there to get your reflection of your experiences. That is the value they have been ready to pay a very high amount to the trainers who are professional speakers and trainer into the outside market. They are not paying you for the PowerPoint deck. They are been paying you for your experiences, which bring as a sort of a solution for them towards their challenges. All right. I hope this brings clarity for you. So you make a preparation, you know what is the needs, you've been there. Now, second thing is, when you are been there, you have to execution. How you are execute your program, execution of your program. And in the execution of the program, it has further subsets, and it has said entry and engagement. It has further subset of entry and engagement. So for example, whenever you have been there on the stage, now there are some sort of things which you always have to show. So for example, right now this is an online a session I've been doing, but would you believe that every Monday, whenever I have to do a session, I'm a very experienced trainer, I've done it over the years, but honestly speaking, whenever I'm having that part, I always come an hours early into my room. I set up all the things, because you never know, there will be always certain surprises you might get in terms of your equipment might not been working, in terms of some of the surprises you get in terms of the plugs are not been working, or some of the things you might have forgot. So as an experienced trainer, and whenever I'm being asked to conduct a training courses into the training room, I always been the one who reach much early before my execution. And what I normally do, once I reach over there, I look around and I test the mic around. I look how if this is the position of the presentation. So if I look into that, if I go into that direction, does my voice can reach to all the corners over there? Does my participants are going to feel comfortable while they are being in the training room? These are the sort of preparation which must be ensured as an experienced trainer, because the preparation, the more you are prepared, the better confidence you sound like. The more conviction you are having on your message, the better confidence you are having over that. So the entry point, whenever you start a session, there are different type of examples in which you can do an entry. So all the professional speakers and trainers, they have a very planned entry. And I would say that the most difficult or most challenging aspect for any presentation or any training program is the initial 5 minutes of any program. Ask any experienced trainer, they would say even they are been doing many years of that training, many years of this intervention, but the initial 5 minutes are very crucial, and you must have to have a very well thought out opening, how you are going to open it, how you are going to communicate the message, what is the way in which you can hook your audience. So some of the people, when they've been they open up with some golden statements, or some of them they narrate a good story, some of them they present with the shocking statistics around it. And some of them, they presented with some sort of questions to the audience. So you have to plan that whenever you are doing your presentation starting point, what would be the entry point in which you can hook your audience, because the initial few minutes are very important to hook your audience. If you are not being able to hook your audience, it's very difficult for the rest of the process, because the initial few minutes, your audience are going to evaluate whether they are going to stay, whether they are going to listen to you, or they have to exit. So into the engagement process, you cannot remember or verbalize all the presentation. So what you have to do, you have to actually get the main concepts of your presentation very clear for you. Once you are having a main concept clear to you, then you can go with the flow, because then during the discussion, you can come out with so many different examples. I have some of the piece of paper in front of myself. It's just to reflect upon that once I've been talking, having a structure so that I should not go way beyond that. But while I've been talking to you, my dear friend, there are a lot of examples just come into my mind, which have not been put it over there. And by virtue of my experience, I'm talking to you during that flow. So I do not remember all of the things. But what I can do, I had the core concepts, what I'm going to talk about, and that makes your presentation flawless. That makes your session more practical, that feel like more natural. And as I mentioned, people don't care how much you know, but they are knowledgeable about this thing, how much you care about them. So the more care you reflect for them, the more you will feel that they are being engaged with yourself. All right, I hope it sounds sense to you. And then the last thing is, when we are having the preparation and execution, we have actually extension part of it. Extension is that normally the trainings or the session does not ended after you have been done with that. There is always some sort of feedback which you might require from them. There might be some sort of specific coaching which you have to provide to them, because on that subject they need some sort of hand holding. So in this extension might be a follow-up on the feedback about the sessions, or some of the things where you can help your attendees how to overcome some sort of thing. And you can also provide some sort of coaching one-to-one with them over there. Now, when I reach on to that, and now this is my subject, and I can offer you right now two things I normally do. One of the things is that I normally in my public sessions and all of my sessions, I actually give my book over here. So my book is a sort of extension for them, and it is like a connection with them. Plus, I also share my email with my attendees, that if you have any of the questions, they can come back with me. I also seek their feedback. If there is a live session, I seek their feedback during the session as well. And if, like in these type of sessions, I go around, and when the people are being there, I ask them this question: what is working, what is not working, what are the things you want me to deliver more, what are the things I can put as a more new subjects into our discussion. So we have been doing that. And one of the things I can, if you had an interest in this subject of public speaking, one of the extension from my side, being a colleague, being my extended family, I'm always available. You have my email, you just drop me a line onto it. If you like to have one-to-one coaching with myself, I can make myself available. Of course, with the schedule, we can do that, but I'm always been there to support you with that. All right, so let's cover it up, what we have discussed today. As I mentioned, that the most important part in our life is basically communication. The quality of communication we are having define the quality of life we are having, because this communication is very essentially required, and it's so impactful that, for example, whatsoever the experience you are having, if you have a solution mindset, and if you believe that some of the content which you are carrying is going to add something into the life of the other people, and you have been convinced about it, then you are having very natural and very impactful. I would like to highlight that some of the people who are being the initial level trainers or speakers, and some of the people who are experienced, one of the demarcation is that the people who just started their journey, they are more external focused. They have been more external focused about the evaluation of the people, what the people are thinking about, how they are seeing themselves. So they are more into them. They are more onto the external focus. But the people who are experienced after so many years, they are not external focus at all. They are internal focus. They are so much convinced with the message which they are having, and they have a conviction power within them, and they have a sincerity which they would like to deliver with that, and they don't care about that aspect, that how much the people they are being there to evaluate them. I would like to share one of the interesting story as a conclusion part. I was conducting a session, and it was a big house. It was around, I think, 4,000-5,000 people are there, and they were all, majority of them, they are youngsters over there. 1.5 hour session I was conducting that, and normally whenever I conduct a public session, I was having tried to ensure that some of my family, friends, etc. would be there as well. And one of my aunts, she was being there. She was sitting at the front row. Once I concluded the session, I came out of the rostrum, and she met me and she asked me a question. Come and just give me an answer to that. How have you remembered, have you verbalized all of your speech? Because I have not seen that you have not used much of the PowerPoint slides. You don't have the notes in your hand. Have you verbalized that? I had a laugh. I said, no, Aunt, I didn't have verbalized that. What is more important? And then she said, how you have been able to do that? And then I told that secret to her, and I said, Aunt, the answer to this is that whenever I look into these hundreds and thousands of youngsters, literally on every face of this young boy, I see the face of my son, and on this young girls, I can see the face of my daughter. And like the way a father does not require to open up a manual to speak to their sons and daughters, like the way I do the same. And that is impactful, because you talk from the heart. And whenever I talk from that part, I always highlight anything which you talk from the heart with a sincerity, it affects hearts. When you talk something only with the logical mind, it only can affect the logics of the receiving end. And when you just simply verbalize some of the statements and you say it from the mouth, it can just affect the ears only. Choice is absolutely yours. And I would like to say you that from today onward, if you have captured some of the ideas, some of the things, and some of the knowledge, and if you started applying it from today, I can tell you, your life is not going to be the same 6 months down the line, or years down the line, because the quality of communication you have enriched yourself is directly proportional to the quality of life you are having.